So being from Montana, I didn't, I've only hunted Rocky Mountain elk. I haven't even laid eyes on a Roosevelt. So kind of walk me through the differences there.
There's 3 different species. There's Rocky Mountain, Roosevelt, and Tule elk. Tule elk are down in California. Roosevelts go pretty much on the West Coast from Northern California, Oregon, Washington, and BC. And generally, Roosevelt elk have smaller antlers than a Rocky. Like, say at San Carlos, we're after a 400-inch bull. That's just a whole different species than the Rocky or the Roosevelt elk. But the Roosevelt elk are generally bigger bodied, smaller antlered. And what I'm after is a herd bull. And I'm not hung up on score, inches, or anything like that. I just want a nice, mature herd bull. I love hunting Roosevelt elk and just the coast range. And sometimes that's like a big, heavy, maybe even just a 5-point, 5x6. I have killed the one giant bull, like a 350. That's way out of the norm, but really it's just kind of like a heavier antlered bull, usually more compact as far as antler size, and then a body bigger than a Rocky Mountain elk, so they can get up to over 1,000 pounds body wise. So lots of meat, smaller antlers, but we're just after a mature herd bull. And you take it for what it is. And for me, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I adjust my expectations and we just try to get the best herd bull we can find and make sure he's, a mature animal, and just get him killed. I love the small logging community towns because that's like where I grew up. Powers reminds me of that. I got a soft spot in my heart for towns like that and people who work in the woods and hardworking small town people. It's just amazing. That property, it's basically a private timber company. Warehouse release type thing. Log trucks going up and down the main line there. I love it. It's a coast range. And I've hunted that property now since 2010. We put in some miles down there. Yeah, it was kind of a tough year. So Saturday night, we got down there in time to go out hunting. We got out there and Tanner spotted this bull down this unit. Did this perfect stalk. Tanner stayed up top, but got the wind in my face and got down there, and I'm just like looking, scanning, one step, scanning. And I'm like, that looks like, is that an elk, right? Like 25 yards. It was the bull's butt. And then I could see his antlers. And I'm like, holy shit, he's right there. And he comes right up. So I come to full draw. He steps out perfectly broadside. Nice 5-point herd bull, which, people who haven't hunted Roosevelt would be like, is that a good bull? It's like, yeah, that's a good Roosevelt. It's just different. And he stood there at about 25 yards, a little under 30 yards. He came to full draw. Passed this bull up because I'm like, this is my last elk hunt of the year. I love this shit.
Yeah.
I don't want this to end right now. So I didn't shoot him. It's nice Roosevelt. Yeah. Oh, man, it's hard for me to kill a bull like that right now. Let me get my ass kicked a few days and then we'll check back. But I just love being out here, being in this logging country on the coast of Oregon, and freaking live for this shit. It's incredible. Grew up here hunting this country. First bull was killed on the Oregon coast, and Lord willing, my last bull will be killed here too. Just not tonight. And then Kevin was like, I would have shot that bull. He goes, it's been really hard this year.
Come on, man.
You wanted me to shoot him. And I'm like, nah, not on the first night. He's like, I'm just telling you, you should have shot that bull.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'll copy that.
He was walking down the ridge.
Oh, I see him down low to the left in the shadows. You want to burn down there?
Yeah. Ready? We heard less bugles than Utah.
Slightly.
Yeah, we heard like two. I mean, Roosevelt bulls aren't as vocal for sure. We kept grinding it out, and I think we get 10 miles.
We had to average pretty close to it.
Yeah.
So I would work my way up here,
Yeah.
and I would go through this timber, but I would kind of zig and zag through this stuff up here a little bit. Last night those elk came out right here. And then like the night before, I saw them right there. Take that down. You might even cut down the wood depending on the wind and hit these very back meadows.
Yeah. I hope it's going up. That's what I was hoping.
We weren't seeing a ton. And then, you know, that evening we went for that hike in a little bit different area.
And so we were miles into this thing, trying to go down, kind of get the wind right, and the cows were there, and if the cows spook, you're not getting an elk, so I had to circle all the way back up and around, drop into this creek, and by this time now it's getting close, the sun is going down. I'm like, fuck, where I wanted to get for the evening hunt, we're late now. So I'm bombing down this on the other side of the ridge from where the cattle were, trying to get to the bottom where we still had light to hunt, get all the way down there, trying to be quiet, trying to hustle, all these things going on. We've got about 15 minutes of shooting light left. I think this is getting close to like 7:20, and I think shooting light was over like 7:40, something like that. And so kind of hustling, but trying to get into this meadow. But before I get to the meadow, I look and I'm just like, what the hell am I looking out there? And I look up and I could just see the backs of 2 elk. And these elk are coming from the right to my left. And those 2 had already passed, but there's more coming. I'm like, oh my God, if this bull comes out right here, it's gonna be 30 yards. I'm just gonna smoke it. But there hadn't been one bugle.
No.
Not one bugle. We had no inkling that there was a bull there.
Nothing.
Not a peep of anything, but there's these elk coming through. So I get up there and then I'm like, shit, what if he's already out here and I'm losing light? So I try to sneak up, and then a cow kind of busts me a little bit through the trees. So I get up there in between the trees, I look up, elk then kind of spook, and there is a bull out there. And he's kind of walking from my right to left, and I range him 67 yards, dial it up real quick. He keeps walking, and I'm like, God, he's standing about the same distance. So I had to hustle, put my pin on him. Everything felt good. He stops. And he looks the other way, kind of quartering away perfect, looking the opposite way. I'm like, oh, this is a shot you dream of. But I wasn't 100% on the yardage, but I was pretty sure it was pretty close. So I put my pin on him, just. And I couldn't see that arrow hit, but then he went and he took off, and then he stopped again, and it's like he's acting like he was hurt. I thought I hit him with the second arrow.
Yeah.
Is what happened, because I didn't see the first arrow in him, but then I saw it at the second shot. So I'm like, I don't know if I missed him with the first shot, and then just trying to get another arrow in him, made a shitty shot on the second shot, because the second shot was back. I thought it sounded like I hit him, so I was like, I just need to get another arrow in him, but what if I missed him, and then the only arrow I have in him is that bad shot? So I was like really, really upset. the last thing I want to do is make a bad shot on a bull. And heat of the moment, it was like I was beside myself. I'm like quiet, going back, just like not even knowing how to internalize what just happened or where I hit this bull. Backed out of there, I marked where I was standing. He said, I don't know if I got it, but we'll get back and, you know, get it on the computer and look. You got the footage up, so then you look up and you're like, dude, you smoked him.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I shouldn't have been surprised, but because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I even hit him on that first one. And then so we look at the footage and he's quartering away pretty good, but then he turns and quarters away even more. That arrow hits, you know, if it was broadside, it'd be way back, but with that angle, you want to go for this offside leg. And it was like pretty much the offside leg. So
Yeah.
you're like, that should be through everything. And then I hit him a little bit lower on the second shot, but still got another arrow in him. I figured he wouldn't go far because
Right.
it looked like a good angle and the arrow looked like it went, you know, full penetration.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep all that night. I got back in there, first light, and shot him again. It wasn't the kill that I work every day for, which hunting, it's the way it goes sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
as bad as it sounds, as tough as that is to deal with, it's life and death isn't always pretty. Death is ugly sometimes.
Yeah.
This one, this is not how I wanted it to go, but the saving grace to it was the meat, because I killed that animal the next morning. The meat was obviously he just died, so the meat was fine. Didn't lose any meat, which I would hate to kill an animal and also not get the meat.
Yeah.
That would be the worst case scenario. It's not ideal, but me getting the meat, so that sacrifice and that kill, there's purpose to it. I remember shooting that bull that morning and saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard.
And then he passed and just sat there for, you know, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And just, and then broke him down.
Yeah.
You know, broke him down, got that meat. The one end is the death and the not ideal death of that situation. The other end is the camaraderie
Yeah.
and sharing in those moments with Kevin, Ed, you, Ron. Dave showed up, you know, Bubba was down at the buggy keeping flies off the meat. Those moments I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll never forget how I felt having to shoot that animal in the morning. I'll never forget the pain of that, but also will never forget just the positive experience and the emotion and the fellowship and the brotherhood of packing that bull out, breaking him down, getting that meat taken care of. Was one outweigh the other? No.
Yeah.
You consider both of them individually and you learn from both of them and you appreciate both of them for different reasons. You know, it was that night, and I think we kind of mentioned it on podcast, but sun was setting fast, got kind of pinned down by domestic cows, and had to bomb down through a lot of kind of marginal elk country to get to the money elk country I wanted to get to before sun went down, essentially. Finally, then I could slow down and start hunting, creeping up. The camera does better than my eye of picking up light. And when that bull came out, and I ranged him, knew what he was, but then he took a few more steps and he stopped quartering away, looking the other way, which is the ideal, perfect shot that you want. But my eye couldn't see as well as, of course, legal shooting light well before legal shooting light was over. But still dusk. And at that distance, at 67 or 64 yards, whatever it was, when I shot, and you're looking through, I close one eye, so I'm looking through one eye, through a peep, in lower light conditions, I had a hard time tracking that arrow. And it's weird because on the camera, it's clear as day.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I shot, I couldn't tell if I hit or missed. I didn't know. It sounded like a hit, but I didn't know where. I couldn't see the arrow for whatever reason. I just want to address what you see on the film is it looks different than what I saw in my eye that night. In my eye that night, given those conditions, I couldn't see that first arrow.
Yeah.
So you'll see it here, and you'll be like, what are you talking about? You can't see it. It looks like anybody could tell where that arrow hit. But that's just kind of the heat of the moment. That happens. The type of people that hunt and love the mountains, those are like the type of people that the fabric of this country is built on. Just hard work, just respectful, traditional Americans, basically.
Definitely.
And yeah, it was I got 11 months until another month in the mountains.